Thanks for not giving up on me. You ready to do this thing? Cool. Show 'em what we got.
Once upon a time in a junkyard far, far away. Just kidding, just off the highway. A retired, rust-speckled Volkswagen Beetle named Herbie sat sulking in a corner, dumped there after losing one too many races. Once the darling of the racing world, now one oil leak away from being squashed into a metal pancake. But Herbie wasn't ready to check into car heaven just yet. Enter Maggie Peyton, the youngest member of the legendary Peyton racing family. Her dad, Ray Peyton Sr., drags her to the junkyard for a congratulations you didn't flunk out of college car. And while she's eyeballing some reasonably normal options, Herbie pulls out every desperate car trick in the book. Beeping, bouncing, and probably winking with his headlights to get her attention before becoming toaster scrap. Maggie takes the bait. Okay, maybe Herbie kind of kidnaps her, tomato tomato. And before she knows it, she's zooming down the road completely against her will to the garage of her old friend, Kevin, who now moonlights as a mechanic. Kevin, being the charming grease monkey he is, convinces Maggie to take Herbie to a car show to look for parts. Simple plan, right? Wrong. Herbie, ever the chaos gremlin, cons Maggie into putting on a full-on race suit and helmet, then accidentally enters her into a street showdown with none other than NASCAR's golden boy, Trip Murphy, in a race that can only be described as Fast and the Fury, as Herbie leaves Trip in the dust with a smug honk and a 1-second victory. Meanwhile, Daddy Ray is sweating bullets trying to keep the Peyton racing team alive. His son? Sweet kid. Drives like a Roomba on roller skates. His ex-wife, who's also conveniently his team sponsor, warns him, if the team doesn't qualify for the next race, her company pulls the plug. No pressure. And poor Maggie? She's got racing in her DNA, but was banned from the sport after a crash as a kid. Now, with Herbie in her life and NASCAR on the line, the question isn't if Maggie will race again, it's whether anyone can stop her. Kevin is over the moon. Maggie's back in the driver's seat, literally, and his childhood crush is now casually dusting NASCAR champs like it's a warm-up lap. He tries nudging her to get serious about racing again. But Daddy Ray Sr.? Oh, he's having none of it. Meanwhile, Trip Murphy has become obsessed with Herbie. Like, makes a vision board about him, obsessed. Determined to reclaim his dignity, and maybe get Herbie squashed, he sets up a sneaky local street racing competition to bait the little Beetle into a rematch. Maggie and Kevin, being total chaos enablers, enter. Naturally, Herbie obliterates the competition like he's playing Mario Kart on cheat mode. But just as he's about to hit the final showdown with Murphy, things get messy. Murphy, oozing charm and evil schemes, tricks Maggie into racing for pink slips. Now, Herbie may be tiny, but he's got feelings. And when he hears Maggie talking about how cool Murphy's stock car is, he totally panics. The poor guy thinks, that's it. She's trading me in for a flashier model. I'm gonna end up as a coffee table in a car-themed cafe. What Herbie doesn't know is that Murphy is planning to win the race, get Herbie, and send him straight to the junkyard to be squashed into a sad, shiny cube. So in full melodramatic heartbreak mode, Herbie throws the race. Intentionally. Maggie? Humiliated. Herbie? Towed off like a broken toy. And Ray Sr.? He storms in like the world's angriest pit crew dad and gives Maggie the full, I told you not to race lecture. But don't worry, Herbie's story isn't over yet. Buckle up. Just when things seem like they've gone full junkyard telenovela, Maggie gets a much-needed pep talk from her bestie Charisma, who reminds her that she's not just a Peyton by name, but by Need for Speed DNA. With her confidence revving up, Maggie makes a bold move. She decides she's going pro. Time to get serious. Time to get Herbie back. There's just one tiny, horrifying problem. Trip Murphy, still operating at maximum pettiness, didn't just hold on to Herbie. Oh no. He entered the poor Beetle into a demolition derby. Herbie's about to be pitted against a bunch of souped-up battering rams on wheels in a battle royale of crunch, crash, and chaos. Maggie, channeling her inner Fast and Furious heroine, storms the derby like a woman on a mission. While cars are flying, sparks are bursting, and drivers are going full Mad Max, she literally runs onto the field, dodging certain death, and pleads with Herbie to fight. Herbie, touched by the gesture, and seeing Maggie is in danger, fires up his engine, channels his inner warrior, and together they win the demolition derby like total underdog legends. Back on the NASCAR front, things are falling apart faster than a cheap tire in a burnout. The Peyton racing team is on the verge of waving the white flag between two nasty crashes by Ray Jr., who drives like he's allergic to corners. And the team's budget looking like a broke piggy bank. Maggie offers to step up and race. But Papa Ray Sr., still stuck in "my daughter won't race" mode. He says no. Ray Jr., finally realizing he's got the reflexes of a sleepy sloth, he secretly bows out and sends the Team Peyton crew to help Maggie and Kevin get Herbie ready for the big league. Let the underdog montage begin. At the track, with the smell of fuel in the air and stadium lights shining like destiny, Maggie and Herbie share a sweet, heartfelt moment just girl and car, rekindling their unbreakable bond. Enter Trip Murphy, lurking in the shadows like a cartoon villain, issuing one last smug warning. This race isn't going to be easy or safe, but Maggie's got grit. Herbie's got heart. And Trip? He's about to find out why underestimating a 1963 Beetle is a huge mistake. And now, the big race. The crowd's roaring, engines are rumbling, and Herbie? He's taking a leisurely Sunday drive, apparently. The little guy starts the race painfully slow, like he's just there to sightsee. But don't worry, this is Herbie. He was just warming up. Soon enough, Herbie kicks it into gear, starts weaving through the field like a tiny, sentient ninja, and begins flying past race cars. Maggie's killing it out there. Meanwhile, back at home, Ray Sr. is watching the race on TV. And just like a dad in a midlife crisis movie montage, he decides to the track, "I must go." He zooms off to witness history in person. Back on the track, Herbie runs into a little situation. Boxed in by a bunch of beefy race cars with bad attitudes. It's looking grim. But just then, Ray Sr. appears at the track and gets on the team radio, offering his daughter a much-needed verbal hug. Maggie, fueled by fatherly approval and unshakable Beetle bravery, makes a move so insane it belongs in a video game. She drives directly over Tony Stewart's car. Yes, over it. Heroic? Yes. Hilarious? Also yes. But it comes at a cost. Herbie's oil system takes a hit. They rush into the pit again, and Kevin pulls off a mechanical miracle. He yanks a part straight out of the yellow new Beetle Herbie's been crushing on the whole movie. Yep, that car. Owned by Sally, one of Team Peyton's last remaining sponsors. The new oil system works, but it's delicate. Held together by hope, duct tape, and probably a prayer. And of course, Trip Murphy is lurking around, doing his best evil smirk, absolutely determined to make sure Herbie doesn't win. Because nothing fuels a villain like a personal vendetta against a tiny, smiling car. But Herbie? He's not done. He's got one last lap, one big heart, and a driver who's finally embracing who she's meant to be. Maggie and Herbie tear through the track, closing the gap between them and Trip Murphy, who's still clinging to first place and his overinflated ego. But Trip, being the human equivalent of a sore loser with a racing license, isn't done being the villain. He tries to force Herbie into the wall with a dirty move straight out of the How to Lose Like a Jerk playbook. Maggie, however, channels her inner Jedi, slams the brakes, and bam! Murphy goes flying into the wall like a crash test dummy with a grudge. But wait, it gets better. As Murphy's car flips upside down and skids to a dramatic halt, Herbie pulls off one of the most insane stunts ever committed to family-friendly cinema. He climbs the fence. Yep, like a bug on a mission, Herbie literally drives up the wall onto the fencing and lands back on the track like nothing happened. Victory, baby. NASCAR just got Herbied. The whole Peyton family rushes in. Ray Sr. gives Maggie the proudest dad hug of all time. As for Trip Murphy, he's carted off in an ambulance, flailing and fuming like a man who just lost a race in a grudge match to a 1963 Beetle with a personality. The movie wraps with a perfect bow. A photo of Herbie's legendary win hangs on the wall, and Ray Sr. gives a final dad speech, warning Herbie and the yellow new Beetle not to stay out too late on their date. That's right. Love is in the air, and apparently so is intercar romance. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for more. And don't forget to click the recommended video to keep the fun going.